Special by Lizzo. It is 12 songs, 35 minutes long. Lizzo, did we review her debut
I'm
album on
almost
here?
certain
Pretty
we
sure.
did. Yeah.
I'm like 90% sure we did. Yeah, because I Love You in 2019. Yeah, we reviewed that. Cool.
Yeah.
Lizzo burst onto the scene with Truth Hurts and a bunch of other tracks that came out a few years ago, and unapologetically herself, has been through a lot of different stuff throughout her career and whatnot, and it continues to have to always answer for shit that she shouldn't have to. But granted, you get that as a female person of color in the fucking music industry. That's how it is. But with her second record, it's a take on kind of being more introspective, but also being more out there too in that way, which is interesting. It's kind of treading that fine line, but trying to still really be unapologetically herself throughout it. She has a ton of samples, which we'll get to in a minute of that. But with it being a shorter record, I actually didn't mind this too much with how it sounded. Her first record, I thought some tracks were fine and some tracks were just, it was a lot of filler. On here, to me, it's one of her more complete works, but there's still lots of stuff left leaving me wanting and whatnot, especially within and rap, trap, neo pop, everything. There's a lot of different sounds coming out that are not getting the attention and stuff compared to other bigger artists, and that's why we have this podcast. But
yeah, I will also say the original version of "Cause I Love You" was 33 minutes long. Of course, there was like the super deluxe version that was released afterwards because every artist has to do a deluxe version of their album.
I mean, always. Yeah.
Like Grass Grows, Birds Fly, Sun Shines deluxe albums, Forces of Nature. breaks. But with Special, I do like the length of it. I do like that you get that duality of Lizzo. It's her, but it's in a deeper way, I think. And there's also some very interesting musical choices you get as you kind of go into here. So you get in songs
there's a lot of political messages and stuff in there too, which it's nice to hear her branch out a bit and some of her messaging. I think that could get washed out by some of the production, but more on that later.
Oh yeah, definitely, because I didn't even get a lot of the political inklings from my listening, so definitely bring that out. But starting with like The Sign and About Damn Time, you kind of get these, I don't quite want to say like Lizzo's like a show tunes artist per se, but she brings like quite a lot of like production panache, so to speak, with songs. Like About Damn Time has like trumpets in the background. Like it feels like a true entrance, like a coming. And that's like kind of really what Lizzo is about. It's like being very unapologetically like herself and not really caring about what people think about that. And that's like really admirable.
Mm-hmm. It starts off like the sign About Damn Time Girls, and it's just like those are your twerk songs, as I like to call them. They're just certified freak songs of just going in full gas, just have fun, let it go. And they're fine, like tracks by themselves and whatnot. Like The Sign, it's actually like that little kind of upbeat show tune-ish theme with that. About Damn Time, it's that nice like neo pop is Dan like to say funk is back. It has a lot of funk influences and stuff too, and it's nice little groove pop song for Girls, which samples the Beastie Boys song, and that was interesting for it. I was like, okay, that's a choice, but all right. So
yeah, it was a song that was also a little bit of controversy that we reported on because of the original version of the song's use of the phrase spaz, which a lot of people in Lizzo's community said like, hey, this is a little bit insensitive towards people with disabilities, specifically like who have like these spastic reactions. So that lyric was changed for the single. It's changed in here. I forget exactly what it is. It's like a very small thing, but it kind of just shows that like in certain ways. Yeah, she's like, she says, hold me back instead of that now. When she says, hold me back, I'm about to knock somebody out. It's very innocuous. Like, I was trying
doesn't change the song.
Yeah, I was trying to find it and look for it, and I really didn't find it, which kind of goes to show here. Like, this was, for all the people who say, cancel culture, look at this. When an artist goes, okay, yeah, I messed up. I'm going to, like, fix my mess up and try to, like, own up to it. People more or less were fine. Like if people were still mad at Lizzo, they were like very clearly like looking unhinged in that case, because this is a case of an artist just like mending up for their mistake, and it's fine afterwards. So it just makes a lot of like the whole bitching about not just cancel culture, not make this an accidental power report segment, but like these complaints from other artists who are like, and musicians very often, who are like, oh, I can't express myself musically, I can't say what I think with my emotions or my thoughts or whatever because of like everyone wanting to censor things. Like it's so overblown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and as I said earlier, like it didn't change the song, it doesn't change the album or anything. That little thing. Again, I was looking for it as well, and I was like, okay, don't see anything with that. Towards the middle of it, To Be Loved, it's more of that like I'm trying to think of a good comparison of a sound that I was thinking of that. But just decent pop song. I Love You Bitch, Special, Break Up Twice. Kind of in that middle of the record. Special is a decent track, I thought, for the title track. I like it when she goes into more of the slower stuff and more of like your neo-pop style. I think I like that sound for her more than some of the poppier tunes. I think her voice suits it better and everything, and the production of those tracks. I think are a little bit more mature, a little bit better. Some of the other things I thought can fall flat, like example, Girls, I really thought it was all right of a track, but it's nothing special.
Yeah, my favorite parts of the album are when she sort of just shows like friend love throughout the entire thing. Like I Love You Bitch kind of sounds like one of those, and then there's Birthday Girl kind of near the end, where it's kind of just like this big sort of like passionate, just sort of like I like my friends, I'm kind of like happy for them in like that kind of way, that kind of thing. Like you don't get that too much in like modern pop music. It's always sort of like a relationship context or like kind of looking into oneself. Usually, yeah. But yeah, I feel like that in itself is like a powerful statement as well for like support systems, groups, all that kind of like different things that are through there. So that was something that I caught, at least being some of the album's more powerful moments, at least like what I saw.
For sure, yeah. I like that from Lizzo. I think it's nice to get that sound where it's not, everything is not just about fucking relationships over and over and over and over again, because that's what we've been getting the majority of pop throughout the history of music. And then since the 5+ years that we've been doing this podcast, we've been getting that a ton, and that's one of our big issues and complaints with pop music. With that was a nice thing with this record. You really don't get that. You get little things here or there naturally.
Like Lizzo is a pop artist, but this doesn't feel like we've reviewed a lot of like, oh shit, here we go again, kind of like pop records where you can almost tell by the review we're just like slogging through it. But no, there's really like a lot. There's really some like juicy stuff here.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of decent stuff with the production. As I was joking earlier with the sampling and stuff, there she used a lot of different beats and recycled things from different artists throughout decades of music. It actually fits within this record. As much as some people are like complaining about it online or other things that I've heard, I like all of them except for Coldplay. More on that later. But within the context of the record, Lizzo makes it her own. She can do a lot with those sounds, but then take some of those calling back stuff, which we've been getting a lot in pop naturally. I mean, Meg Thee Stallion had plenty of tracks that on her last record that she used samples for and stuff that just recycle things, but she made them her own. Lizzo did the same thing here, but in a pop music context, and it actually hits. Because some of the things I've heard in pop where they done recycled things, there's a lot of like recycled 80s beats, a lot of recycled stuff from that era, and it just got overused, overdone over and over again a lot. But it's just not even taken from one specific era. It's from a bunch of different things, but then in the context of the record, it still fits. Because it still is cohesive, it still runs through, and it sounds good throughout it. Because she takes some of those things and then makes it her own in that way. So I actually thought that those were done very well, except the last song, but I'll get to that.
I mean, we're building up to it. I mean, I'll talk about some of the samples really fast, kind of just to get there. Ahead. But About Damn Time has Hey DJ from the world famous Supreme Team. Girls has Beastie Boys, like you were saying, really classic one. Break Up Twice features Doo Wop by Miss Lauryn Hill. Birthday Girl samples Summer Madness by Kool and the Gang. And then we get to Coldplay, which, and in addition to sampling the song Sudden Death by Quell Chris and Chris Keys, also samples the song Yellow by a band called Coldplay, which for Audioface longtime listeners know we have a very storied relationship with. Actually, one of our top like engaged with like sort of like bonus episodes that we do where we like focus on a musician
Mhm.
and their history is the Coldplay episode, because our kind of like what happened to Coldplay take that Sean, you really you led that episode, is a really great one that a lot of people really resonated with. Was that Coldplay, long story short, went through a phase of their own where they were really groundbreaking alternative rock acts, and then just increasingly and increasingly sold out more and more as they played more and more arena shows. You can almost see like a direct trajectory of how that happened. And so I'm really curious what your thoughts are from here on that song, for sure.
So the song itself is okay. I hate high pitched samples. When you change something and do a TikTok voice with it, it is the worst thing in the world. Absolutely just no more ever again. Like, done. If I hear that one more time, I'm gonna go insane. But especially with like with Yellow, it's such a sad song and everything in there, and with with how it's made into the song, like how it's sampled, it just doesn't fit. It's really awkward, and that high pitched sample just makes it even worse. It was actually like Chris Martin's voice maybe would have been better, but with it like that done that way, it just throws it off completely. And I have a lot of issues with songs that do that. Even like the 1975, one of my favorite bands, they did that on their last record. Like Tonight I Wish I Was Your Boy. The beginning where it did Running Away with Me, super high pitched. Hate that sample. Love the track. Once I just have to skip about 35 seconds into it and then listen to it. It's almost like this with Coldplay, the track, because the song's actually fine, and the other sample I enjoy on here, but with that it just keeps detracting because it keeps going throughout the track over and over again. I'm like, just stop it. It doesn't need to be there. Producers, stop that shit. If someone says, "Ooh, I want to sample," and like change it up, make it a TikTok voice, just walk out. Either walk out or just look at them and say no. But
Yeah,
N
I mean,
O
a lot of times it's like the producers of the record labels who are like, and saying like, "Hey, find a TikTokable moment for this song, or do something like that." I don't think it necessarily has to be done in that way. For sure, there's certain implementations that are better than not. But I really do think the song is like not
Sounds
too
fine.
bad. I think, yeah, if you're a Coldplay head, you'll kind of like notice those things. They'll be very unsettling, which makes, of all the sample choices in here, definitely that one the most peculiar, let's say.
Yeah, most peculiar. I really don't like how and that's samples in general. It's more of a rant of samples that do that, and production crews and artists that do that stuff. So, and honestly, yeah, that almost ruined it for me. But overall, I actually enjoyed the record a lot. I want to give it another listen at some point when I have time. Because there's a lot to dive into it with some of the other things where there's even other samples, other sounds that I haven't necessarily heard, that when I was kind of skipping through it right now, when we were talking about it, I was like, oh, I didn't even notice this with the first listen through. So,
And
but
what
for
were some of
artists
the?
like Lizzo,
Sorry, go
a
on.
second.
Finish your thought.
I was like, but for artists like Lizzo, who gets a lot of unnecessary hate, I think this is actually a very strong second record. We have the curse of the second record for artists of trying to figure out who they are, right? Of who am I going to be? What is my thing? Like, her big successful track, Truth Hurts, this trap queen style song, everything, unapologetically being herself. Okay, is it just going to be that over again? Is it going to be more of those types of tracks? And no, it's not. It's a lot of neo-pop, it's a lot of soul, it's a lot of normal pop music, a lot of different stuff in here, but you could still tell that it's a Lizzo record through and through. So I think that's actually done very well.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Bringing that back.
I agree. I forgot about that.
Oh wait, that's the thing I was going to ask about. Is what were the political like things that you like stuck out to you?
Some of the stuff of like Everybody's Gay. I think that was the track where I heard some things of being political within like a social justice kind of way. And there's a couple other things throughout the album where you heard little things. It wasn't like crazy political stuff necessarily. I wasn't No Name or anything like that, but there's some stuff in there. I can't forget off the top of my head, but I'm listening to it. I think Everybody's Gay, and then there's another track towards the beginning, maybe To Be Loved, where I was listening to it. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting for some of like people wanted to be who they are at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And
I think it's a subtle kind of political message that we really like on
yeah, yeah,
Audioface, where like it blends into the
exactly.
subject matter of the song. It doesn't feel like you're reaching that much really from like what the
Yeah,
artist is really talking about. And Lizzo could go in like a number of different ways. Like I feel like she could be like decently qualified to go like in some of like the no name roots of things, right? But she's really kind of talking about love as a political act. And I think that's kind of in
yeah,
friendships and support systems, but that's also in like songs like Everybody's Gay relating to sexuality, of course. I mean, like the lyrics are definitely a tell there. Um, but yeah, no, I think it's a solid second record overall. I kind of just realized
yeah.
that this is a second record full episode. Every
Shit, it
artist
is.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, every artist here is
I didn't realize that this is Steve Lacy's second record too.
yeah, I had to double check, but anyways, very good. We'll get to Steve Lacy in a moment, but let's wrap this up with the arbitrary scale, which we do every week on Audioface because our review is our review. We just told you how we think about it, and if we reduced it to a ranking system with letters or numbers, that would defeat the sanctity of the podcast. I don't know why I went with that turn of phrase. I think it's an old school turn of phrase. Anyways, this week it's going to be speaking of old school, old YouTube memes because I need a brain
Right.
break from everything terrible happening. This is going to be I'm gonna give this Don't Tase Me, Bro.
Oh no! Don't tase me, bro. I forgot about that. This is Charlie Bit My Finger.
That's
I forgot that was a thing.
that's a great one.
Charlie bit my finger.